Hey, good afternoon from the KUOW newsroom. This is Seattle Now. I'm Paige Browning. We did it. We got through a ginormous parade. I bet a lot of parade goers are skipping the cooking tonight and ordering some takeout delivery. And coming up, we look at Seattle's gig worker minimum wage and how it's working for those takeout drivers. That's in a few minutes, but first, a roundup of today's top stories. It's Wednesday, February 11th. We'll start today with what else? The Seahawks Victory Parade. KUOW's Noelle Gasca was there taking in the sights and sounds, and it took her an hour and a half to get back to the U District from downtown to file this report.
A sea of blue and green-clad Seahawks fans basked in the glow of victory and a sunny Seattle morning as they celebrated the Hawks' second Super Bowl title in the team's history. Andres Munoz, a lifelong Seahawks fan, came to the parade with his wife, who grew up with Patriots-loving parents. Together, they're raising their daughter, Aya, as a Hawks fan.
And we're trying to pass down this culture to the next generation. So it's important that she sees this. This is a historic moment, and we couldn't be happier to have her with us.
City officials estimate between 750,000 and 1 million spectators turned out for the parade. I'm Noelle Gasca in Seattle.
Some people could be returning from the Seahawks parade to a towed car. Linwood's light rail parking garage filled up by around 8 a.m. this morning, and police say people have been parking in places where they could be towed. Specifically, many cars were left out in front of local businesses that don't allow park and ride near the light rail stations. Ouch. A lot of fans rushed to take public transit today, and the transit systems were stretched to their limits. Joshua McNichols has the story.
It was like the Super Bowl of transit commutes. Sound Transit huddled up, then pulled in extra trains from the 2 line and put them on the 1 line. But they weren't enough to carry away the record-breaking crowds. The Seahawks fans threatened to blitz the trains.
I was shocked because it was already so full and the people kept pushing in.
So Sound Transit beefed up its defensive line, stationing workers at the escalators who kept riders out until the platform was clear enough. And King County Metro sent in some safeties, too, after receiving reports that overcrowded buses were passing people by. In the morning, it sent them to East Side Park and Rides and to Northgate, where full Sound Transit trains from Linwood were unable to take on more passengers. In the afternoon, it ran the same play in reverse. Joshua McNichols, KUOW News.
Tukwila is one location where Immigration and Customs Enforcement appears to be eyeing more office space as the agency aims to boost staff nationwide. Gustavo Segrero took a look at the possible site.
I'm walking around an office building in Tukwila called the Riverfront Technical Park. It's nestled between an Amazon warehouse and a Postal Service processing center. The space inside looks partially vacant and no signs of ICE staff here, at least not yet. Wired first reported on this potential new address for ICE offices, citing lease documents they reviewed for sites across the country. Federal records also show this building is leased by the General Services Administration. That's the U.S. agency that manages government facilities. This location is near King County Airport, where ICE operates deportation flights. Another ICE field office is also just about a mile away, a place where immigrants check in while their cases are pending. The property owner at Riverfront Technical Park declined to comment. ICE also has not responded. Gustavo Segrero, KUOW News.
Security officials with Immigration and Customs Enforcement are expected to have a role at the upcoming World Cup this summer. That factoid from Acting Director Todd Lyons, who was speaking before a congressional panel yesterday. According to reports by Axios, Lyons says the ICE agency known as Homeland Security Investigations is a key element in the overall security apparatus. It runs investigations into human trafficking, weapons smuggling, and child exploitation. It's a different arm than the group that's responsible for enforcing federal immigration law. In a few quick stories to update you on, we have election results, money for more housing, but first, a death settlement. The city of Seattle has agreed to pay $29 million to the family of Janvi Kendula. She's the college student who was hit and killed by a speeding police officer 3 years ago in South Lake Union. Publicola reports the city reached the settlement with Kendula's family last week. Kendula was crossing the street in 2023 when now former officer Kevin Dave hit her in a crosswalk. In housing, Seattle's social housing developer is set to get $115 million to start creating publicly owned affordable housing. The Seattle City Council voted unanimously yesterday to begin transferring the money from the new voter-approved business tax. The city has been collecting the 5% business tax since last month, which about 170 employers have to pay. And early election results are in. Voters are saying yes so far to every school district funding measure in King County. But the vote split is close in some funding measures in Issaquah and Enumclaw, so we'll keep an eye on those. And further north, some levy measures in Darrington and Monroe are trailing so far. A business note, Boeing has announced it's planning to open its new 737 MAX production line in Everett this summer. This will be the airplane maker's first MAX production line outside of the Renton campus. Boeing has reportedly already started hiring workers for the new line that'll produce MAX 10 planes, but those planes still need to get federal certification. To the Winter Olympics today, Kirkland's own Cooper McLeod just went up against the best in the world on the Olympic skate track.
Cooper McLeod opening up very fast, 16.35. He's ahead of the lead opening split.
McLeod on the outside in the blue. He should get a good draft here.
Super Cooper McLeod didn't end up with a medal in the men's 1,000-meter skate, but it was a milestone first Olympics race for him. He races again Saturday. On the women's side, Seattle's Corinne Stoddard crashed in her 500-meter race, citing slushy rink conditions. She skates again Saturday in the 3,000-meter relay. In the snowboard halfpipe, Portland's Alessandro Barbieri was up today, but scored just shy of the bronze medal. Coming up for Northwest athletes, the women's Super G ski race with Portland's Jackie Wiles and Victor Idaho's Breezy Johnson. That's at 2:30 a.m. tomorrow morning. And in cross-country skiing, Winthrop's Novi McCabe races tomorrow at 4 a.m. in the 10-kilometer race. Now, our feature story today. It's been 2 years since Seattle's gig worker minimum wage law took effect. It was intended to boost labor standards for app-based drivers who deliver food for companies like DoorDash or Uber Eats. So how has it worked out so far? KUOW's food reporter, Ruby DeLuna, joined Kim Malcolm on All Things Considered.
Ruby, hello.
Hi, Kim.
So tell me what the gig workers were telling you. Did the law raise their pay?
Well, initially it did, and that was the experience for many workers like Michael Lowe. He's retired, but he supplements his income by making food deliveries through DoorDash. He remembers the first month the ordinance went into effect.
I delivered one order on a Friday night that was 2 deliveries together from Queen Anne over to Wedgwood, and the traffic was so bad and everything. You know, if you're stuck in traffic, you got paid well.
Now, he said those orders took close to an hour to deliver. For that, he was paid $58.
Whoa. Okay, so how does that compare to what he would have earned before the new law?
He estimated that he would have been paid about $17. Now, the ordinance isn't just about wages. It required companies to pay mileage and time spent waiting for the food, or in this case, sitting in traffic. The law also outlined protections before a driver can be fired, or in the industry lingo, they call it deactivated. The thing is, the pay raise lasted a few months.
Just a few months. And then what?
Well, things slowed down. Orders weren't coming in. They still aren't coming in like they used to. One worker told me she can be logged on for hours without receiving an order. Customers still want the convenience, but many balked at the fees that the apps tacked on after the new law. The companies say the fees are necessary. Now, that pattern is consistent with a recent study by the National Bureau of Economic Research. It showed that wages were higher in the first few months, and then they dropped. The study also found that months later, drivers were having more unpaid idle time and were driving longer distances between orders.
Okay, so those are the drivers. How about local businesses? How has the law affected them?
Right. I checked back with Uttam Mukherjee. He's the co-owner of Spicewala that serves Indian street food on Capitol Hill, Columbia City, and Ballard. Mukherjee has expressed concerns early on. Those concerns, he says, have become real. He's getting fewer orders coming through those apps because of the added fees that customers are now having to pay.
A meal might be $12 to $15 in our restaurant. By the time a customer gets it through these apps, now it's become $35, $40. And so I wouldn't buy our own food for that price. I'm not sure why we would expect customers to do that.
He estimates that his business declined by 50%.
Wow. Okay, and what are the app companies saying about this situation?
Right. DoorDash recently issued a report showing Seattle as the most expensive market for food deliveries, and not surprisingly, shows the most decline in delivery orders. Cities like Denver, Portland saw up to 30% increases in monthly average sales compared to 5% in Seattle. And just to be clear, Denver and Portland don't have gig worker laws like Seattle. Now, interestingly, appetite for app-based deliveries isn't slowing down. In 2024, the industry generated nearly $30 billion in revenue. Demand rose during the pandemic, and for many people, it's about convenience.
Yeah, something they're not ready to give up.
Give up, exactly.
So, see, Ruby, given how the law has played out so far, the gig worker you spoke to, Michael Lowe, does he think the law has helped him?
Well, he said compared to how it was before, the law addressed many of the issues that worker had raised, such as work protections and pay.
You had to run all night long to make any money. A lot of times by the time I was done after 4 or 6 hours, I'd put gas in the car, get something to eat, and that's where all the DoorDash money went.
Well, Ruby, it sounds like there's a fair amount of unhappiness around this locally. Is there any pressure being brought by anyone to have Seattle City Council revisit this issue?
At the moment, there's no indication of any pending changes, and that adds to the frustrations that businesses are feeling. They say they support the intent of paying workers well, but they end up shouldering the ripple effects.
That was KUOW's food reporter Ruby DeLuna speaking with Kim Malcolm. Before we leave you, it wasn't just busy downtown today. It got loud.
See! We're the best in the world!
That's star receiver Jackson Smith and Jigba leading stadium chants. The Pacific Northwest Seismic Network checked its noise meters today, and volumes hit double or triple normal noise levels for most of the 9 o'clock and 10 o'clock hours this morning. The network actually has a seismic station at Lumen Field, and they noted announcer Steve Rabel has called 12's the loudest, most dedicated, most feared fans in the NFL. Next time on Seattle Now, big tech is laying off people by the thousands lately. How are the newly unemployed thinking about what to do next?
When that security blanket gets kind of ripped out of the crib, then all of a sudden it's like, well, I got to do my own thing.
Hear more Thursday morning. That's all for today from the KUOW Newsroom in Seattle. Our producer is Vaughn Jones, and I'm Paige Browning. Seattle Now and KUOW are members of the NPR network. See you tomorrow.